of energy. And in fact, it's your fault. You sent me through that document, and it got me thinking. And since then, I've been waking up subconsciously at like 4:30. And I'm normally a 5:30, 6 a.m. kind of guy. So I don't know why, but I'm getting up even earlier, having done that little test.
That was that burnout assessment from Health Med.
Yeah. I think I'm paranoid that I'm not getting enough rest. Now I'm off the nights. I'm having a laugh with you. I'm great. I've got my challenges that I'm on with, but other than that, yeah, fantastic. About you?
Yeah, same.
Busy?
Yeah.
All right, shall we flip the table a second then? Find out a little bit more about you.
If you like.
A day in the life.
Let's see what happens. What's the purpose of it, out of curiosity? To find out what a lawyer is? Or to find out what I do?
No, so we have loads of conversations, right? And a lot of our conversations, I don't see an end to them. And I could just keep going and going with me. Thoroughly enjoy them. And you come away from them and you're like, I had so much more to ask, you know? I think when we spoke just recently about, like, you know, a day in the life of a lawyer, for example, I find it so interesting because I'm sure no 2 days are the same, right? So as a lawyer, how can you define what the most enjoyable part is?
Well, I think what I enjoy is probably similar to what a lot of people enjoy about their jobs. It's probably not necessarily the do itself. It's more the interaction that you have around it, like just that human interaction, the human touch, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
I do enjoy that. I like. It's going to sound strange, but I like being a lawyer is pretty cool.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Powerful.
Someone asked me the other day, like, what's it like? And I was like, yeah, it's pretty cool, to be honest. You know, I mean, well, I didn't have a sensible reason to become a lawyer. It wasn't like I had a great plan. I was just like, well, that looks like a rock star job. I'll do that, I reckon. You know, that was as sensible as my way, and I kind of kept tried to make that true. It's like I just want it to be cool. And I remember being, you know, when you go into your first job and you just see all these blessed lawyers behind their desk, and you're like, I thought we were rock stars. I thought we were the guy from Suits. What's this shit? Because this is dry. I don't want to do any of this. I just want to, you know, strut. Let's
do it. Suits.
Yeah.
Is a day in the life of anything remotely like Suits?
Yeah.
So you're a Don. You're like the...
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm a legend in my own head, you know what I mean? Like,
You are a legend, though.
Cheers, bro. But like, I play music in my head, and I'm like, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
I just live my life like that, like it's a movie. I'm like, why not? Like,
100%.
I mean,
do you float when you walk then?
Yeah, I feel like it.
You know
I love it, man. It's cool.
It's to me, it's fascinating because it's like the rock star. You know, in terms of like, if you was to label jobs as a child, right? We did this, didn't we? You know, when you were young. What was that board game? There was a board game, wasn't there, where you could play, like Game of Life, I can't remember what it was. And you could choose to go to university or get a job. And the highest paid job was a lawyer. I'm pretty sure that was the board game.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
So the sort of like perception is that, like, if you are a lawyer, you are, boom, you've met it. You have that cool, you're a cool guy.
Cheers, bro.
You know what I mean?
You're pretty cool too.
Cheers. So, is everyone like you as a lawyer?
No. I mean, that's to say that I'm also agreeing with you that, yeah, I am cool. But, I mean, is this a nice thing to say? I wonder. Now, most lawyers are a pain. they're not a pleasant bunch to deal with. They're
I
a
feel
strange.
comfortable now agreeing with you.
Yeah,
when
they're
you
a
said that.
strange breed. As a breed, they're strange, and I wonder whether it's arguing all the time, or whether it's being stuck in detail all the time, or whether it's trying so hard to find a way to push your point across or to advocate that every single word becomes a. And you're like, you're just petty. It feels petty and manipulative, and you're like, I don't want to hang out with these people, you know. And the other thing is, well, you know, when people are just school, college, university, work.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I need you to be. I need to have a practical conversation with you about the reality of this. Do you know what I mean? Like, we need to have contracts. We have to have this. Have to have that. Have to have this. You know, I'm a farmer. I've had this farm. It's been in my family for 10 generations. The relationships we have go back to King Arthur. You think I'm going to turn up with your 19-page contract for services and give it to that guy? That's going to break down all of the relationships that have been built. It's going to, because all this says is I don't trust him. It's not going to work, mate. But thanks for coming. You know?
So, I mean, property and construction, yeah. And granted, not all lawyers, solicitors are the same. A little caveat there, but so I'm glad you said it. Not all of them are cool. It's like pulling teeth. Why is that?
I don't know.
With the majority of solicitors in the property game, buying houses is such a long game.
Well, is that a lot to do with workloads and timings and multiple parties, and are they rushed off their feet? I mean, if you're paying 500 quid to turn over a sale, how many 500 quids have I got to get through the door to be able to pay salaries? You know, I mean, I've done a few property sales. I don't do property law. But when I was training,
You quickly caveat that there. Whoa.
but one of my clients was like, "No, I want you to do it," and I was like, "Please don't make me do this." And they was like, "No, I just want you to do it," and I was like, "I don't know, I don't do property." And it's like, "You do it," and I was like, "Okay, I'm going to charge you a lot." Don't think I'm going to compete with that guy. But then when I went through it, I was like, to do this properly, it's going to take ages. It takes a while to, you know, and fortunately conveyancing has a lot of actual systems in place so that it's rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
But to do the job properly takes a while.
Yeah, man.
And, you know, so to charge like 500 quid per pop or £1,000 per pop, you're like, no. We have to have loads of them through the door because it's a lot of work to do it right.
So it sounds to me then you could say up the price to speed up the process.
For the customer, yeah, ish. But then the reality, when it comes to conveyancing, you know, it's a problem because then people won't pay. You know, because you need to be able to cater for the market in that sense.
See, that's interesting because it's a great point you make there. I'm currently in a transaction that's been well over 18 months now, and it's been getting tossed around by 4 different solicitors. Our solicitor, seller solicitor, the bank's solicitor, and then the right-of-way solicitor. 4 solicitors are constantly bouncing amongst each other.
And everybody's ready to do the do.
Everyone's ready to do the do, but there'll be
18 months
it's a long time.
Absurd.
There has been change in there with, you know, capital gains tax has been changed there, so deal structure had to be changed. Lending.
We could sell £100 million company in 18 months.
Don't, you're upsetting me. Yeah, there's been a lot of change. You know, what's happening right now in the economy is interesting, and that has a big effect of it. But, you know, things expiring, you know, in terms of valuations, things like that, and then having to redo them. It's been a painful process. So what's the most boring part about being a lawyer, really? Because it's a cool job.
It's a cool job, right? So the thing is that, like, I've always had this thing in my head that human beings have two fundamental drivers. You have ego or you have spirituality.
Yeah.
Now, if I feed your soul, if I feed you spiritually,
Yeah.
I can put you anywhere. I can put you in like the deepest, darkest parts of the third world, give you a roof over your head and some food, and you could just go and help people, and your heart would be full, your soul would be full. You'd need nothing else.
Yeah.
You'd be full. You wouldn't worry about, I'd love a Mercedes CLS. You wouldn't, you know what I mean? That wouldn't come into your
Content.
You'd be happy,
Yeah.
you'd be full. But if you're not saving the world, your ego needs to be happy, right? So from that perspective, like being a lawyer, and not just being a lawyer, but like pick an area. So I thought corporate law, that's the coolest one.
Yeah, man.
Right, to me. So it's not boring. It's just because I'm always sat in that space like, cool. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you pick well.
So I'm happy in that sense. But, the boring part doesn't really come into it. Like running a business is different from being a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
Running a business is its own monster.
Oh, yeah.
But being a lawyer, essentially all I do is write contracts for a living, right? There's something I've mentioned before, but when you, okay, if I took you out of what you're doing, because you love what you do.
Yeah.
I took you out of that and you became a chef instead, or you became a teacher or whatever, you'd love that too. So it's not subject specific. This isn't yet subject specific.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, because falling in love with what you do is pretty much the only way to do anything. Otherwise, every day is just a grind.
Yeah,
it's just a grind.
Yeah, I agree
right?
completely.
Like the guy that works at McDonald's, or the guy that works in Gordon Ramsay's kitchen, they're both chefs. One of them fell in love, but one clearly didn't.
Yeah,
right?
fair enough. Yeah,
but
yeah.
when you fall in love, magic happens, right?
Yeah.
Magic happens. Like, what happens if instead of just cutting tomatoes, lettuce, and cucumber into a salad, what happens if I throw walnut in there, or pomegranate seeds, or vinegar, or magic happens. It's like same thing with law. Either I could look at terms and conditions and just want to blow my brains out because it's the most boring thing a human being can read, right?
Yeah.
Or this is a written down relationship between you and me. It's a written down relationship. It's a blueprint for our relationship. And like any blueprint for a building of anything, if I read it again and again and again, because it's fucking dense, but if I keep reading it, I can see this building, this relationship in front of me. And I can see that those stairs don't go where they say they're going to go. That window's never going to open in that way. There's a trapdoor that they've built in there. You're like, okay, let me just tidy this up. Let me clean this. Right? It's active. You're inside the words, and you change a word here, and it has a ripple effect into that contract there, and that contract there, and you're inside the words. And when you're done, when you come out of it, it's a masterpiece.
I don't know, out of all your episodes, if anybody asked you why the art of law, now we know why. I know exactly what you mean.
But yeah.
Building a house is taken for granted, but a lot of the effort is way before you turn up with materials. It's on the plans. So I can relate exactly what you're saying. It's not a case of just chucking it together. Because you start building a house without a plan, it's going to be a wonky house, that, bro. I don't care what anyone says. You're gonna fail. So I understand what you mean. About being very careful for both sides. Is it fair to say?
Yeah.
If there's two, could be more.
Yeah.
All right. Question. So if you was to write in business, right? If you was to write or make up your own law that every business had to follow, what would it be and why?
That's good. I don't know. That's an interesting one. What do I not like about business? Do you know what?
Got you on the spot.
I don't understand, and this is maybe not business. It's not necessarily business. This is maybe more political. But I don't understand how a company like a big company, let's use Tesco's as an example.
All right. Big company.
How can a company like Tesco's report a profit to its shareholders when its staff have to be on benefits? Because that means the profit that's gone up there is funded for by the taxpayer.
This is deep.
So I don't understand how the business owner can take 150 grand salary if his employees have to get funded by the taxpayer. It doesn't 100% yet make sense to me how you can pay somebody below a living wage and take money, because that means the taxpayer is the one that's paying me my money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So
100% get that.
Not to go into in too deep in this subject, because I'm not that knowledgeable on it. But I saw a interview, or actually it was in a courtroom, and they was stripping down the CEO of Boeing, and they were fuming that this great all-American company had safety concerns, yet the CEO was disillusioned that there was problems within Boeing. They was having huge safety concerns, and that he just gave himself a 48% pay rise. And I think Congress, they was giving him a hard time, you know, because the American people were at risk. Their safety was at risk. And I kind of agree what you're saying there in terms of like the key decision makers within a business chewing up all the profits, but yet the people doing the do are, you know, on the breadline, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, so even putting the moral question aside, like even if you put the moral question aside and said, okay, no, it's okay to pay people less. Like, okay, let's accept that's true. Let's accept, just for the sake of this, let's accept I can pay you a little bit and I can take the lion's share because it's my idea, it's my organization, it's my all of this. So far, so fine. Until the taxpayer has to fund your existence. The taxpayer shouldn't have to fund you. So everybody here should be able to run their life or run whatever is considered to be a reasonable life.
Yeah.
Whether that's the average house and 2.4 kids. That's how much money they should get. Right? Anything above that, okay, the taxpayer is supporting that individual. But you're intentionally keeping them funded by the taxpayer. That can't be. That doesn't make sense.
I agree with you. So I think...
So that's the change I'd make.
So let's be clear, what would the change be?
Change it so that that wasn't possible. Everybody, if you're allowed to pay somebody less, you can't take more. You're not allowed to take more out of the company as an individual or as a shareholder until everybody is above 2.4 kids in the average house in your town.
So is it possible in the UK to create a law and enforce that into a private firm?
What do you mean?
And say, hey, anybody with a registered business within the UK has to abide by these rules. And as such, the rule will state that we will allow business owners to extract X amount of percentage